Hello everybody, welcome back to The Life's Good. I'm AJ and I'm out here on the plot today on a lovely sunny Friday morning for a change. And I've just got some cosmos here which I grew from seed, and these are desperate to be planted out. I do like a few flowers on my vegetable plot. They bring the pollinators in, they look pretty, and they add something to a vegetable garden. I'm trying to find somewhere to put these now. I've got lots of locations. I'm just trying to clear a few spaces and work out where I'm going to put them. I'll just pop these on the floor. The subject of today's video is basically weeding, more weeding and weeding. You remember I took this plot over early this year, and I've been digging it, or forking it over, and removing everything I need to from the soil. Deep-rooted weeds, bricks, stones, all manner of stuff. However, that disturbance of the soil, I've sort of forked it over, I've hoed it and prepared seed beds and so on, and I've been growing vegetables in that ground. However, the forking over has the effect of disturbing quite a few seeds and bits of root and goodness knows what else from plants that you don't want in your garden, certainly amongst your vegetables. What constitutes a weed? I think the technical term is a weed is any plant growing in a location that is not wanted or required or needed. So I know possibly flowers might be weeds if they're growing in the middle of something that you're trying to grow on that you don't want that flower in the middle of. However, I've got quite a few weeds coming through on this soil, and I've been hoeing and using a little hand fork and removing quite a lot of that. And as you saw in the opening clip, I was removing quite a few weeds from around my little herb garden down there in the corner. In addition, remember my last video, I think, was the horsetail horror. And I have had quite a bit of horsetail in that top corner of my plot. And I've spent a lot of time and effort digging out an awful lot of horsetail and its roots and so on and so forth. I can't for 1 minute think that I've removed all of it. However, I've had a good go at it, and I have in fact gone down to fork tine depths on occasion to get right underneath what was there. And touch wood, if there were some nearby, touch wood, I haven't had too much of a problem since in that area. However, I do keep finding the odd piece coming through, and I'm going to lift you off there and show you on my herb garden that I was weeding through this morning. I've discovered some horsetail growing right where I don't want it. Come and have a look at this. Well, this is my little herb garden that I set up in the corner of the plot, adjacent to where the shed and the water butts are. It's not very big. I used a few bricks and set out a little quadrant here in the corner, and you can see a few things growing in here already. I've got a sage there. There's some coriander, and there's some thyme. I've got some mint. I've got some chives ready to go in, and a few other herbs that I want to pop in the gaps between these. And in front there, I've got some violets just for colour. I actually found those growing on the plot whilst I was forking over it. And I thought it's a shame just to put them in the compost or wherever. So I lifted them carefully, popped them in a pot, brought them on, and I popped them in there. And it's in the middle of those that I've discovered the horsetail. Well, I hope you can see that okay. There's the violets at the front of the herb garden. And lurking and showing its head right in the midst of those is that little chap, and that is the dreaded horsetail. Now I need to remove that, and the only way to do that is to dig it out. The problem I've got to do now, or the challenge I have, is I'm going to have to carefully lift the violets out and try and keep them safe, and probably take out the bricks in front and get the fork under there to get out as much of that as I possibly can. So that is my next task as far as my weeding is concerned. Yeah, it's a bit of a sod, I must admit, and I've been finding it in little locations here and there, and as fast as I see it, I'm getting in and removing just about as much of it as I possibly can. Quite a challenge, but I'm sure we'll get there in the end. Well, that horsetail certainly given me a bit of a challenge. I have removed nearly half a compost bag full of the stuff, and that will be sealed up and disposed of in my general waste bin. That's basically the only ways you can get rid of it. You can burn it or put it in the general waste. You don't want to put any of that on your compost heap or anywhere near where you're going to be sowing, growing, etc., etc. Keep it away from your soil. Well, before I go, I'm going to lift you off of there and give you a quick whiz around the plot and the polytunnel just to show you what's happening here. And last weekend, Jane and I were away. We were away for a long weekend on the coast, and I've put together a little clip, little video of some of the scenes that we enjoyed whilst exploring the northeast coastline. Now then, I'll take you off and we'll see the plot. Well, this is the way I enter the plot and down this little pathway, and the first thing you see when you get here is the strawberry bed sitting there adjacent to the path that I set up a good few weeks ago now, and my little herb garden sitting in the corner. And if I turn you around gently, looking back up there, you can see that I've got a couple of courgette plants planted out already. And then this is the soil I've been working on and digging through and cleaning out to remove the horsetail problem that I've had. But having another one appear in the corner of there is a bit of a challenge, I must admit. I've got a little bird station here. I do like to feed the birds. And I get a regular robin come in who I've affectionately called Percy, and a regular blackbird who I've called Basil. So Basil and Percy come and keep me company while I'm down here sometimes. Now you can see that little green area up there. That's where I've planted out a lot of my brassicas already. And I've got cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, and some kale in there already. So it's all protected by the net to keep the pigeons off, and the butterflies, of course, when we get those around. We don't want lots of caterpillars eating the leafy greens. And I'll turn you around gently. We go back down to the pathway here. And you can see adjacent to the polytunnel, I've had a good clean out there. I've cleaned that pathway. I had some postcrete left over from a job I did in the polytunnel, and I've used that to level up that path and clean out all the weeds there. Coming around to the raspberries, and of course the shallots on the far side there, looking really good. I've got a bit of weeding to do here. That's going to be another challenge. I've got 2 rows of beetroot and a row of carrots, and where the pathway is in the middle, that's got quite a bit of weed on it. So this little area here is the one area that I have not weeded yet, but I will be doing that ASAP. And then we've got the archways, making that little tunnel area, and I've already got beans growing up there. Several beans already through and growing, and I was checking this morning and I've still got more planted, and they're just showing now that some of them are coming through. So we've got runner beans, or French climbing beans, going up over this wire and metal tunnel. I've got a good crop of peas sitting there, and another crop down the side, trying not to get my shadow in the way. Underneath the little bits of mesh there, that is spinach beet. And in front of the peas on this side, I've got Lollo lettuce. I do like the curly leaved. Some of them are Lollo Rosso, which is the red leafed one. There's a bit of a mixture. And I've got some lettuces coming on there. And coming down further, I've got rocket. There's 2 rows of radishes there, but I only sowed those yesterday, so you won't see much there. And we've also got some chard sitting in there. I do like chard. The leaves are lovely used on your salads and things, but you can let them grow bigger and you can use them a bit like a spinach, and you can use the stalks as a vegetable. Really lovely Swiss chard, and it's a rainbow chard, so some of these are red and some of these are yellow, so they add a bit of a splash of color to the plot. And the raspberries, of course, doing really well. And my little pond in the corner, just there. Made that out of an old front of a washing machine. And the sparrows use it as a bath. You get a communal group of sparrows in there, having a bit of a splash around. I'll just take you into the polytunnel. I've got the door open because it was awfully hot in here today. You can see I've got my tomatoes in containers there, and I'm supporting them with strings that I've tied to the metal rail that traverses the polytunnel from side to side, as you can see. And the strings are tied on and attached to the base of the tomato plant. And as they grow, I just sort of wind them onto the string, which supports them as they're growing tall. And this is a cherry vine tomato, these ones. I'm looking forward to seeing how they turn out. And just sat there is a cucumber, and there are some other seeds in there which I had to put in because some others didn't germinate, so I've reseeded a couple of 3 cucumber in there. And I got a few more things sitting around on the shelves in here in trays and pots, and all looking very good at the moment. I've got a few things to do later today. Oh, and the postcrete I've just mentioned, I actually sealed up the floor. There was a lot of gaps and holes and things in the tunnel, and I've sealed up all the floor area, all the channels that were collecting all sorts of crud and rubbish, and I've sealed all those up with a cement mix, and I've now got a pretty decent solid floor in this polytunnel. And just looking at the maximum minimum thermometer there, if we can get that to focus, I'll just have a look and see. I don't know if you can see that, but the maximum in the last few weeks is 46.5, which is quite high. It's currently 28.2, but interestingly the coldest it's gotten in here is 10.9 since we had the last chill. So that little maximum minimum thermometer keeps me updated with what's happening temperature wise within this little polytunnel. So yeah, it's all coming on. I've got greyhound cabbage, rocket, parsley, Brussels, more Brussels, and a few more beans. And hopefully some more of those will germinate and I can get those out with the others and grow them over the tunnel. So it's all happening here on the plot. It's all busy, busy, busy. Just step back outside and one glance up through the tunnel, and I'll see you in a minute. Well, that's about it for today's video. I'm going to leave you with that little clip of where we went last weekend, and I'm going to crack on and find locations for these beautiful little cosmos that I've grown on. I think I sowed these on the 8th of May, and they're now ready to go out on the plot. So looking forward to seeing how they develop and the lovely flower heads that they produce. Well, thank you for popping in. Thanks for staying to the end, and thanks for watching my video. Usual thing, it helps support the channel if you like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications. That really does help the channel a lot. And if you have any comments, please make them. I'm always look forward to receiving comments from all of you. And if you've got any questions, please ask, and I'll do my best to answer. So whatever you're doing, you take care, you stay safe, be happy, and come back and see us soon. Bye bye for now.